Hello again, my fellow fans, my Star Trek fans. I'd like to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'd like to welcome you to this video. This video is the conclusion, the finished model. Now, I had done at the beginning of November, I had started a build of the Mayflower II. I had gone with my daughter and my wife to the Mayflower in Plymouth, Patuxent, and with this little project in mind, I had gone to the gift shop and gotten a model. Now, the model was kind of a toy. It was the cliche, like a souvenir kind of toy looking ship that really looked nothing like the Mayflower. But knowing the ship as well as I do, with all the video and photographs of her, I wanted to make the model look a little more respectable and a little more like the Mayflower II. So my friends, I present to you the finished product. Let me go around. Actually, let me start at the base. When I was making this model, I had noticed that it was really top heavy, because this is the base that it was on, and it fell over a couple of times. And the whole reason I got this is to do the centerpiece for Thanksgiving, and I don't want it falling over after everybody just bumps the table. You know, there's going to be a lot of banging and everybody touching the tables, so I wanted to make sure it be sturdy. So I had a piece of molding, and I thought that that would make a nice base. So what I did was I clamped the ship base to it. I clamped it with some super glue, and then I painted it black, and then I put the little gold accent stripe going all the way around because I wanted to match the little pillars that are holding up the ship. And now it's very solid. There's no way it's going to rock. So I think that was a pretty good good idea. That way there it's not going to fall over, and that won't be damaged. Moving up, the base itself was natural wood. We stained it, and I used the coffee, the stain, and I think it added a pretty nice touch to it. I was going to paint it black, but I ended up going with the stain instead because I wanted to see if, it would show the natural beauty of the wood. And on video, well, I guess you can tell it's different than the black paint. Moving up, the little pillars, they were black plastic, and I thought that it would look a lot better if they were gold, so I painted them gold. I think it's nice and good contrast with the base. And moving up to the bottom of the hull, I actually had to put like 3 coats of the paint onto the bottom because the wood just kept absorbing all the paint. And we closed the doors to the cannon. Like, again, the model came with these kind of like little toy cannons that went into little pinholes that were drilled out, and I just didn't think it looked right. So when we went to go see her the last time, the doors of the cannons were closed. So that's why I figured to make her that way. And I know the anchor is nowhere near what the actual anchor on the ship is, but this came with the kit, and there was a certain charm to that souvenir kit, and I wanted to keep a little bit of it. We got the base, the pillars, the anchor, and we got the little nails that the rigging went on and that the anchor was attached with. Let me take you around to the back because we had to do a lot on the back. There was actually, the model didn't have anything on the stern section on the back. So first thing I did was we painted it like the back of the ship. Actually, the first thing I did was cut the wood slats to run across to match the ones on the side because they weren't there. And what I had to do is I had to actually cut a piece and make the logo, the Mayflower logo, and glue that on the back as well. Then I had to paint the windows, and then I had to put the doors on, because there are doors back there where there's one cannon on the inside, and it can go to either side to fire at a pursuing ship. So I think that came out pretty good, considering all things. Moving on to the other side, you can see again the base and the bottom of the hull. Again, that was 3 coats of testers. And I put the brown. The brown actually matched perfectly to the ship. The yellow matched perfectly to the ship. The only thing that didn't really match was the blue. This blue is more of a royal blue, and I was hoping for a sky blue, but I didn't really have that on hand. And the reds, it was more like a maroon on the ship, and this is like a bright candy apple red. But overall, I'm pleased the way it came out. Doing the little checkerboard effect on the side of the ship, I think it brings out all the colors. The tops of the handrails, as well as all the spokes, were all white. You can see where the bowsprit is on the actual ship. It was all painted black, all the trim. And on the inside, when we put up the masts, because they're natural wood, I ended up staining them with the same coffee stain that we used on the base. I think that came out nice. And I had to do the flag because the model didn't come with flags. And when we had gone to see her, she had the United States flag on the back and she had the British flag flying on top. When it comes to the sails, again, the ship itself, the model kit, it kind of looked like that toy museum souvenir store kind of thing with the sails going on. So when we went to go see her the last time, all the sails were rolled up and they were tied off with the rigging. So that's what I wanted to do. So I took each one and I glued them, rolled them up, and then I tied them off with the rigging, and then I put them on to the masts on the cross beams, and I clamped them in place in the center, and then I tied off with rigging, and then I super glued all of the sails onto the cross beams to make sure that they'd be sturdy and they wouldn't come off. So we've got the bowsprit, and well, all in all, there was 6 sails to do, all the way back to the mizzen mast sail. And then going on to the rigging, I actually ran out of rigging. They give you a lot of rigging. It goes really fast. And I tried to follow the instructions, and I'm really not an expert by any means on rigging a ship. So hopefully it looks pretty respectable with the British flag on top. And all in all, this is for the Thanksgiving Day table. I had tried to make one last year. You guys have followed my channel. I did a build for Thanksgiving, and I think it was a Lindbergh Mayflower ship. And when I was done, it was like 3 inches. It was like, you couldn't even notice it on a table. At least with this one is going to be more noticeable, because this one is 9 inches long, and it's sturdy, and it's taller. It's much taller. So like I said, this is going to be a lot more noticeable on a table, and hopefully when I'm gone, my kids will still use this as their Thanksgiving centerpiece. Well, my friends, I wanted to show you guys this. I want to show you a little bit of the history when it comes to Thanksgiving and the Mayflower, as well as the Mayflower II. And after you see my little fun with green screen, I'll be right back with my special message for you guys. In the fall of 1620, Mayflower carried the Pilgrims on a 66-day voyage across the stormy Atlantic Ocean. Mayflower's passengers, many of whom were Reformed Christians seeking to separate from the Church of England, left behind families, homes, and livelihoods for a chance to prosper in a land unknown to them. On November 11th, the Mayflower dropped anchor in what is known today as Provincetown Harbor. After several weeks of searching for a suitable place to build, the Pilgrims arrived in Plymouth Harbor. This was the site of the Wampanoag community of Patuxet, left uninhabited after a devastating epidemic that swept across coastal New England just before Mayflower arrived. It was the first bitterly cold winter. Half of the Pilgrims fell ill and died. The following spring, they made an alliance with their Wampanoag neighbors. Mayflower returned to England. For both the English and Wampanoag communities, there was no turning back. Their interactions over the next 70 years, both cooperative and adversarial, had shaped and developed modern America.
Mayflower II is a full-scale reproduction of the ship that carried the Pilgrims to these shores. While no images or plans of Mayflower exist, plans for Mayflower II were created by combining information from the period, shipbuilding manuals from the period as well, and descriptions of the Mayflower in the primary sources. Built by hand using the same tools and techniques as shipwrights 400 years ago, this ship crossed the Atlantic in 1957, a gift from the people of England to the United States. At almost 65 years old, Mayflower II is a rare survivor from the golden age of reproduction shipbuilding. Between 2014 and 2020, she underwent a complete stem-to-stern restoration to remain both a working vessel and a floating classroom. The Massachusetts Historic Commission listed Mayflower II on the National Register of Historic Places when she returned to her berth in Plymouth, Massachusetts in 2020. In 2021, Mayflower II was distinguished as a recipient of Preservation Massachusetts Paul and Nikki Tsongas Award and as the People's Preservation Choice Award winner.
Well, there you have it, my friends. You got a little bit of history on the ship, on the original Mayflower, as well as Thanksgiving itself. It's a special holiday here in the United States, and we like to celebrate it with a lot of food, family, and in this year's instance, the New England Patriots. I got my Patriots that kick off at 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving, so I'm looking forward to that. So my friends, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And most of all, I want to thank you for everything, and I want to wish you the warmest, happiest, greatest Thanksgiving. Till next time, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.